But we're going to start this morning's chapel hearing from one of your peers, so please help me welcome Lary.
Hi, my name is Haley, and this is my chapel talk on resilience. We all have a story, and in our story, we all go through some type of obstacle. The way most people get through the obstacles they are facing is by how resilient they are. You would be amazed by how resilient people can be. But really, what is resilience? The definition for resilience is the power or ability to return to the original form or position after being bent, compressed, or stretched. The way I like to look at it is your ability to cope with the struggles that are put on you without anyone feeling sorry for you and dealing with them in your own way. Everyone finds ways to cope with their problems or struggles. When I was young, I would cry. As I grew a little older, I would usually find ways to get back at that someone who hurt me. When I was in 3rd grade, I had the worst teacher alive. She was mean, nasty, and just a boring person. One day, I just remember having had enough of her, and when it was time to go out for recess, I came back with a handful of dirt. I came back to the classroom early, and I put the dirt right in her coffee mug that she had every morning. I remember only telling my best friend at the time, and when we saw her drink that coffee in front of the whole class, we both lost it. I felt so accomplished because she never even noticed. Now when I am faced with a problem, I do not use dirt. The way I cope with problems is usually just by complaining. I don't usually cry or get revenge. I just complain or overthink. That, in my opinion, is what most people do when they are in a difficult situation. I try my best not to complain or overthink situations, but it does not always work out. You always have to remind yourself, as cliche as it sounds, be happy with what you have. Now back to resilience. Everyone in this room has gone through something that no one should have to go through. Whether it's dealing with the divorce of your parents, family members not getting along, death, breakups, or just feeling as if everyone is against you. We all have gone through something. In my case, I lost someone who was very close to me at a pretty young age. I was only in 7th grade, my first year of middle school. Middle school will always be those awkward years where you're still trying to figure yourself out. You try to find out who you are and what you want to become. Well, I was not like most middle schoolers. I had gone to a Catholic school for 3 years before going into a public school, and I had missed more than half my 6th grade year because I was sick with cancer. So I was very thin, had barely any hair, and I had worn the same uniform for 3 years in a row, so how was I supposed to know what to wear and what was cool? The night before school started, there was a parents' meeting, and it was for parents and students to get to know one another. I really did not have anyone I knew until I saw this bubbly, happy girl who came right up to me and my mom and said, "Hey, my name is Brooke. What's yours?" I replied, "Haley." She said, "Nice to meet you, Haley. Would you like to come sit with me and my mom?" I did, and that was the beginning of mine and Brooke Bennett's friendship. She was my first and best friend in middle school. We did everything together. We had sleepovers, hung out after school, played on the basketball team, and she was even there when I had my first kiss. Our friendship lasted the whole year, and when school was finally over, summer arrived. Not far into summer, I had to go to Maine for a camp. Brooke stayed home in our little town. I talked to her every day while I was at camp. We made plans for the minute I came back so we could see each other again. I remember texting her one night, and she never replied. I thought it was strange, and I wondered why she was not replying to me. About 2 days had gone by, and still I had heard nothing from her. I tried calling her and everything. The next thing I knew was I was receiving calls from all my friends back home, freaking out because Brooke had gone missing. When I heard this news, I was confused. I had never had a friend go missing before. I kept trying to call her, but every time it went to her voicemail. After my camp, my family and I went back home. The town was a mess. Posters were everywhere with her face on them. The FBI even had to come to my house because I was one of the last people to talk to Brooke. I also had her MySpace and email password. About a week went by, and they finally found her, but not alive. As it turns out, her uncle had set up for her to go to his house. He did things to her that you could not even imagine, and in the end killed her. When I found this out, I could not even cry. I did not understand why. I did not believe that she was dead. I refused to believe. When it finally hit me, I did not know what to do with myself. How does a 12-year-old deal with the death of her best friend? Brooke was only 12 when she died, and her birthday was a week later. She could not even turn 13 or go on to 8th grade with me. When it was time to go back to school, I did not know how I would go through the year without her. I made it, though. You learn to move on, as bad or sad as that sounds. I never told many people about Brooke because I learned that holding on to her death is not going to be good for me, and I know that she would not want me to either. I still go and visit where she is buried whenever I can, and I will always call her my best friend. That is just one example of how I am resilient, and all of you, I'm sure, have stories too. Just remember, you are the one in control of your own life, and while you are here, do what you want and can, because I know that there are many things out there that I still want to do, and Brooke is one of the reasons why I take chances. As Nicholas Sparks says, it happens to everyone as they grow up. You find out who you are and what you want, and then you realize that the people you've known forever don't see the things the way you do. So keep the wonderful memories, but find yourself moving on. Thank you.